Gunter Gleben Globen.
Something like that, right?
Something like that. I'm with a man who has lived through the rock of ages, Phil Collen. How are you, sir?
I'm wonderful, thanks.
And we're here to talk about a new book, Adrenalized, Life, Def Leppard and Beyond.
Right.
And I hope you're wide awake, because you just come back from Singapore.
Yeah, no, at the moment I've been awake since like 1:30 this morning, unfortunately. It's like, I've been dozing on and off, but yeah, we're fairly jet lagged.
Good, but I believe it was a good show.
Brilliant, really good.
Good. I had many friends who were there.
Oh, really? Yeah, it's good.
But let's talk about, before we go into like Def Leppard, which is well documented, so let's talk about your early days as a youngster. You're born in the East End, West Ham fan.
Yeah.
It could be forgiven for some people thinking, well, you end up in Iron Maiden. But
Right,
yeah,
I knew the guys in Iron Maiden, and Paul Di'Anno I knew since I was like 6 years old. We used to go to school together. So almost, but a different type of music. The Def Leppard thing was, when I met Joe, we had the same record collection. With the Bowie, T-Rex, Roxy Music, Faces, and everything else. Zeppelin, the Pistols. It was like really a complete thing. And I think the Maiden guys, they're really cool, but it was slightly different. Our record collections would have been different, if that makes any sense.
And you just talk about your record collections. And what was the first record you bought?
It was either Motown Chartbusters Volume 5 or Mott by Mott the Hoople. First albums, I think, single-wise, I remember going to the record store around the corner and I got a Kinks record. So that was my early memory of a 45, yeah.
And you mentioned in the book, like your first epiphany moment. I can't even say that over this morning.
I know what you mean, yeah.
But David Bowie on I'll Go Whistle Test.
Yeah.
What did David Bowie mean to you?
I was like 14. I think it was the songs. They were such great songs and everything, but the look, everything. It was like he really didn't care what anyone thought, and that was obviously the plan. It was, but it was very much part the theatrical part, and his image was very much ingrained in the music that he was writing as well. And he obviously tried a few times before, because he had like the acoustic hippie type thing, and all of a sudden some of these songs were just kind of rearranged, and they came out, and it just had a dynamic. And I think that's the thing that was important. You find your own dynamic, and me discovering that was kind of like him discovering himself as well after all these kind of false starts. You get on it.
And was you a T-Rex fan as well?
Absolutely, yeah. Bit different there, I think the Bowie thing was had a lot more depth to it, lyrically and even musically had a lot more depth, and I could even tell at that early age that there was, I loved T-Rex, I thought it was great, but there was something a little deeper with Bowie,
And let's talk about your first live concert, because there's a good story behind this.
Yeah.
And I'm dead jealous as well. Deep Purple.
Right.
I think it was the Sundown Brixton, which is now Brixton Academy. And
yeah.
Tell us more about that. It was the Mark II lineup, Richie Blackmore.
It was the classic, the classic thing. I think it was the Machine Head tour. And my cousin got me into music, Dave Wheeler. He said, we're going to go to a gig, Deep Purple playing. So it was like, just amazing. And we were front row. And you get right up the front there.
Obviously you're a young person then as well.
Oh yeah.
Hence why you fronted down the front.
Absolutely, right? Yeah, 14 years old, it was my first gig, and they're on Larger Than Life and Blackmore. Before I could even play guitar, I actually understood what he was trying to do, like musically and that, and it just totally spoke. It was so aggressive and violent, and smashing the guitar up, and that just kind of cemented it really. And I went home from that gig and pestered my mum and dad for a guitar. For 2 years before I got it. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about your parents in a second, but just going back to Deep Purple, obviously 6 or 7 months later they bring out an album made in Japan.
Right.
And then we had a special moment.
Yeah, I think me and my cousin said, that looks like that gig we were at. Oh my God, that's us on the cover. So yeah, contrary to popular belief, the photos aren't always taken in the box, and that was taken on the British tour as well.
Normally when I meet rock stars, I'll say what was it like the first time you appeared on your own record, but here you are, young teenager, appeared on one of your favourite bands.
Yeah, pretty cool. Yeah.
And was it easy to convince your friends that was you on the cover, being that it was called Made in Japan?
Yeah, I think so. They said that thing. They said, well, it's in Japan, obviously. They said, well, look at these people, they ain't Japanese. Pretty obvious.
No, brilliant, no. You just mentioned your parents, and how instrumental were they to you in your upbringing and giving you confidence to play the guitar?
very, very. They're really working class. My dad was a truck driver, and I didn't realise till later how much debt they'd gone into to get me. I got this Gibson SG, I pestered them for ages. So they really went out, and it was expensive. It was like, £100, which was a lot of money, still is. And it was like, and it blew me away. And then I just felt that I owed it partly to them as well, to just kind of, make good on the investment that they'd made. But my mum was like, my dad didn't quite get it till later on. Yeah. And then I remember I bought him a new car. He'd never had a new car before, and I got him this BMW, and I wasn't there, but they put a bow on it. It's the old cliche, you do it for your parents, and he didn't get it. He was like, well, what's that then? It's like, it's your car, here's the keys. So then he understood about the whole thing, about, that you could actually do that. And in Def Leppard, we brought all of our parents out to the States. When we were playing the LA and San Francisco, and it was like 2 nights at the Forum sold out, and they really got what it was all about.
Because obviously that time you're massive in the States, but not so much in the UK.
Absolutely, it took a bit of convincing, but,
And have you still got that Gibson SG?
Absolutely, yeah.
Good, excellent. And your first band was called Moose Jaw.
Yes.
Sort of a pointing the finger at...
either it was an atlas or a globe. It was one of them things. It must have been an atlas, because otherwise they wouldn't have had Moose Jaw on a globe.
Have you still got recordings of that band or not?
There's probably a couple of cassettes floating around. Yeah, I think so. We couldn't play. I knew like 3 chords, which is all you need to get going. Yeah.
Also, obviously you had a few bands, and you made your way into the Marquee Club. And what was your memories of the Marquee?
I loved it. It was
as a fan and as a musician.
The real, Zeppelin, the Stones, the Who, Stevie Wonder, the Beatles, everyone played there. So, when we got to play there, I remember the first time I played there, I was so scared. I was like, oh my God, I was like 17. And we were opening up for some band, and it was great. It was just the vibe of it. You could actually feel that. You do feel that, I think, when you go to some of these amazing buildings that have had such a history. We just played the Budokan in Japan, in Tokyo, and I was always a fan of that. And the first time we played there, it was like, oh my God, this is... Again, all these bands had played there as well, and it's a different vibe. So, something very special about the Marquee, I felt,
And let's talk about, the bands that you sort of really got regular gigs with at the Marquee was the band Girl.
Right.
Which is sort of a band sort of forgotten about in the depths of time, apart from us hardcore rockers. But you were a bit different from the other sort of new wave of British heavy metal bands at the time. I mean, you could say you incorporated the Dave Bowie look. You were a little bit androgynous looking and...
Totally, and I think that it went against us in one way, but there was so many girls that would flock around to those shows, and it was great. I just think we needed a bit of nurturing, and otherwise we'd have done a lot better. I think someone could have said, okay, you sing this, and these songs are almost good. They just need a little bit more. And we had that in Def Leppard. Mutt Lang was that guy.
Of course,
But in Girl we didn't have that. It was kind of open. It was all just open, and there was no one really to get behind it.
It was quite bizarre. You had Phil Lewis, the singer, good-looking guy. He was dating Brick Eklund at the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
You saw at the Marquee in a Rolls Royce.
That was great. It was really cool, and like I said, it went against us because a lot of people they resented that, and especially in rock music, they didn't quite get that. And it was part punk, part glam, part rock, and I think the new wave of British heavy metal was very kind of a little bit narrow in what people appreciate. So if something was a bit off like that, they didn't quite get it. Same thing with Def Leppard, they wasn't like the other bands out there. So, but again, that obviously appealed to me as well.
And just before we get on to Def Leppard, going back to Girl again, and one of the gigs at the Marquee, Richie Blackmore guested with you, which I never realised until I read the book. So,
right.
And obviously that must have been a magical moment for you.
Oh, absolutely.
You played your guitar, I believe.
Yeah, played my Strat, which was, ironically, the reason I got that Strat was because he played one identical to it. So it's kind of a, full circle there for me. So.
And I believe you played Steppenwolf's Born to be Wild.
We did,
Which surprised me, actually.
Yeah.
So how did you choose that song in particular?
It was like, you want to come up and do a song? And it's like, what should we do? And he's like, what do you know? Brought me well because we'd actually do that occasionally. And he said, yeah, fine.
Brilliant.
So that was easy.
And have you got recording of that anyway?
No, I wish. That would be great.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
How about any photographic evidence?
I think there's one in here actually.
Oh,
there could be a photo in here, yeah, because we found one recently. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there is. Yeah, but anyway.
Shows up in the book pocket, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's in there. You can just about see him. I'm on stage, I'm like, yeah.
Brilliant. And obviously you got called for Def Leppard. And what was it like working with them for the first time? In terms of professionalism compared to like Girl, because you moved up to a different level and you worked with Mutt Lang.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't realise I was joining the band. I was just helping my mates out.
I believe you've not officially joined the band yet.
No, I think sometime in the 90s Joe said, okay, do you want to join the band? And I refused, obviously, but that's kind of how that went down. I was just helping them out, so it was amazing working with Mutt though, because he's so inspiring and gets you so inspired, and you're like, half the time you want to do it just to please him because he's a bit of faith in you or something. Yeah. He's going, try this and try that, and it was great. It was very different, and I really learnt how to sing and play guitar through him, really.
And what's the sound there? Because like say you went for like an AC/DC sort of meets the harmonies of Boston. So was that how hard was that? Oh, Queens. Oh yes. So how hard was that to work on those harmonies? How hard did he push you? Really hard,
but what was amazing, you'd get such spectacular results. You'd go, I can't believe that's me singing. So that was the thing, and that would make you want to work harder. So that was never a problem, that thing. It takes a lot of hard work, but of course it does. Anything that's going to be good is going to take a little bit of graft. So we learned to do that. I've never seen anyone work as hard as him. Actually, he'll go until you. Many a time, you'll be writing or recording or something, and you're going on to, and it's 5 a.m. and you wake up and you've actually nodded off, which is pretty amazing.
And tell us about the successful ride in America, because you're still a young lad, and I think you're about 25, 26.
Yeah.
You break in America, you're supporting Billy Squire, and you actually say in the book, you notice as the tour goes on, the audiences are turn up earlier, there's more of them, and in the end there's more there for you than there is Billy Squire. So
I think what really helped us was the fact that MTV was just breaking. So it was a new medium, and it ultimately ended up killing the music industry a little bit because it took some of the mystique out of it. I mean, it was going to happen anyway, and look where we are now with reality TV. It's taken every kind of bit of mystique out at all, because it's like everything's out there. But when it first kicked off, it really helped us, because you could see that we were younger guys, and we didn't look like all the other rock bands, and we certainly didn't sound like them. It was this kind of thing that it was a hybrid that kind of fit right in the middle. It was like rock fans liked it, pop fans liked it, everyone did. R&B fans liked the song. Everyone go, oh yeah, I know that song. There you go.
I remember watching a American documentary at the time, which is not on YouTube, believe it or not. I can't remember what it's called. But there's a great quote from Joe Elliott, and he said, you sold more records than all the big British bands at the time, like Culture Club, Thompson Twins, Duran Duran. He sold more records than them combined.
Right.
But he couldn't get a word mentioned anywhere in the UK.
No.
It wasn't until Rick Adam lost his arm that we sort of made the big news with it.
Interesting, that. Yeah, I know, yeah. Yeah, that happens. I mean, it happens everywhere.
Yeah.
I always go, it doesn't really matter where we play as long as you're playing to fans, or you're trying to kind of make someone your fan. If they're up on that, then we'd rather play there. So that's the thing, and you just keep coming back and trying again and again.
And how do you keep yourself level-headed when you do have that big success as a young man?
It was a bit of a struggle, actually. Even that album, it wasn't, it cost a bloody fortune. Everything was against us. So when it came out, that was very humbling before the record came out. Yeah. So when all this success happened, and it didn't happen straight away, it actually came out and we hadn't broke even with the record. Yeah. So just keep trying it harder and harder and harder. And that absolutely keeps you level-headed. Because I think if it had just happened very easily, then people would have got a different attitude,
And let's talk about your friendship with Steve Clark, sadly no longer with us. But you shared hotels, rooms with him. As Tex Exiles, you both moved to Paris together. So obviously very close buddies.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, he's my best friend.
Yeah. So what about him makes you smile today? You know, what happy memories you've got, Steve?
Well, he was just such a wonderful soul. He was just like, you know, really funny and just like really intelligent. I think one of the things that you know, come from a very working class area, like me in the East End of London, Steve from Sheffield, it's like, oh, up lad, you know. We were on this road to discovery, not just musically, but all of a sudden you're in Paris, you're in somewhere where Picasso used to hang out, you're in a situation culturally or otherwise in that you would never have been to. You know, you're meeting different types of people, and it has an effect on you. It kind of opens your mind way up. So we were kind of discovering all this stuff together, and that was great, and you could converse with each other. And sometimes you'd go back, say, school friends and that, and you couldn't really relate that experience. You know, whether it was, you know, relationships, some, you know, girl or whatever, or what had just happened. You know, the fact that we were tax exiles, which was kind of weird in itself, you know, and then you can only relate with each other, you know, no one else really understands.
It was like you were sort of dubbed by your circle as the Terror Twins.
Yes, yeah. I think because we used to get, you know, bollocks drunk and stuff like that.
I'm glad you said it.
Yeah, and then people will go, oh my God, look, what happened last night, you guys did this, and it's like, oh God, really? Yeah. And I started blacking out, you know, and that wasn't fun, so I actually stopped drinking. You know?
And that was the end of the Pyromania tour, so...
Yeah.
Did that sort of affect your, I wouldn't say friendship, but your comradeship with Steve in some ways, where you stopped drinking and where he's drinking alone now, maybe, or
no,
his real friends?
No, we still carried on. It wasn't until Hysteria till we'd actually, you know, and then I started drinking socially again, and that didn't work until I finally stopped, which was in, you know, April '87. Yeah. So and that's really, and we still remained really close, but we wouldn't see each other as much. Yeah. And that I guess that did affect it really in a way, but not towards each other. Yeah. Just by virtue of the fact that, you know, I wouldn't really want to hang out in bars anymore. You know?
Obviously, didn't affect your working relationship at all. You sort of worked on the guitar sound very much,
totally.
Before the Hysteria recording sessions.
Yeah. No,
tell us more about that. The guitar technique you two had together.
It was the harmony chords. I mean, a lot of bands, you know, they have two guitar players and they just thunder through the same old stuff. Then someone will play a solo and says, "I'm gonna go rhythm." If you listen to an orchestra, and this was Steve's idea initially, he said, you know, or a keyboard, you know, a keyboard's such an amazing instrument, you can do so much, and different inversions and that, and I think that was the experimentation, you know, try and just open it up. So if someone played that, you'd play something completely different, something counter. Then you put Mutt Lange in it, and it's like, okay, let's get a different rhythm and a different groove going, so that these guitars would work together. You know, the Stones would do it kind of in a much more basic way. But, you know, it was wide open for us to do this stuff. So we worked on this harmony guitar theory thing, and it worked great. And then you put vocals over it and these other things, and all of a sudden you had this amazing sound, of which Hysteria was. Yeah. That was the first time we'd actually done that.
Do you remember the first time you heard a track from Hysteria on radio?
I do. I heard Animal, and it just sounded amazing. It just it was bigger and better than I ever thought that we could achieve. It was just an amazing thing.
And that was a top 10 single in the UK.
Our first top 10, yeah.
So what did that mean to you? And describe the feeling when you heard it went top 10.
That was great, but I think it was still a bigger deal when the Pyromania album before was number 2 in the States, and, you know, we were top 10 and with singles and stuff like that. So that was more exciting, I've got to say. You know, it was great going top 10, but, you know, being that massive in the States was...
I'll say with the UK Animal, it's the first time for your parents to say, "That's my boy."
Absolutely. Without a doubt, yeah.
And obviously Rick Allen lost his arm before that, which is well documented, so I won't go into that right now, but I must talk to you about the first major concert. He did some sort of warm-up shows in Dublin. We're just going to use 2 drummers, not go from Status Quo, I forget his name right now.
Jeff Rich. Yeah.
And he sort of turned up late, couldn't get to the gig. Thought, well, Rick can do this anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. It was. See, Rick was petrified that something would go wrong with the electronic kit. That's why he asked Jeff, and that was down to Rick. We said, "Oh, what do you want to do?" He said, want to play this kit, but I'm so scared it's going to break down and we're all going to be sitting there, which has happened a few times. But we don't worry about it now. We have a, Joe would go, I'll play Lola on the acoustic guitar, and that did happen once.
I think it almost happened at the Freddie Mercury tribute, if I'm right. I think the drum kit went missing or something.
It always went, yeah, absolutely. They put it in the wrong channels. But so that was the thing there, and what was amazing, Jeff and Rick worked very hard before the thing, and he missed the flight. It was late, it was delayed or something. He came in halfway, and he actually said, Rick don't need me, he's good to go, and that was great.
Yeah.
It helped him through that kind of thing. And
I'm glad I was part of it. A special moment in Def Leppard history. A few days after that, Castle Donington, massive bill. Ozzy Osbourne's headlining, the Scorpions above you, and you're in this sort of downtime period between Pyromania, getting back. You put 2 new songs in the set, but it was an astounding success.
Yeah.
And how was that for you and the band collectively?
It was great. It was really good, because I think people have preconceived ideas of what you're about. They see you having all this success in America and they go, "You sell out," and they haven't even heard what you're about. So I think, unfortunately, because Rick had his accident, that's the only reason that a lot of people were prepared to listen to it, because someone had a disability, which is kind of a bit lame when you think of it. But it actually worked out really well. They actually gave it a chance, and they went, "Wow, these guys are really good." And obviously Rick was amazing. It was a big deal. It was for him. It was something very special.
I think, if I remember right, he was pretty tearful on the day.
Oh, absolutely, everyone was crying. The audience, that was great.
So, what was the pre-show nerves before that gig?
I don't think. I think more for Rick than anyone else, because it was. It was early days with this electronic drum kit. Now it's easy. He does it in his sleep, and it never goes wrong now. But like I said, it has done in the past before. It's kind of. But having said that, I broke a string, or my voice has gone out completely while I'm singing. Or I've forgotten the words on a solo part, and so it happens to everyone. So and I think you get past that, and the fact that it was so much deeply with his accident, it was the drums, and it meant something very personal to him as well. It was, overcoming that disability, and changing one limb for another. So it was more than just a drum kit, it meant a lot. So that's, I think, why Rick would be a bit nervous to that. But everyone's a different soul. They approach it differently. And
did you think all those years ago that Def Leppard will still be going now?
No, and
it's a very successful arena rock band, which you still are.
Yeah, we actually just played in a bunch of places this summer, just before the end of the American tour. And we actually got more in the same buildings than we had during the Hysteria tour, which was a bit weird.
There's less overheads now, I was playing.
It's great. Well, not so much that, but we've got that down. Faye, our production manager's brilliant at kind of keeping the costs down. So
Obviously, you are busy with Def Leppard, but you got Man Rays with Paul Cook and is it Jerry Laffey?
Yeah, Simon Laffey.
Simon Laffey, Jerry's his brother.
Yeah.
And what does that mean to you playing out of Def Leppard? Does that give you room to experiment?
It does, and we just put a blues album out called Delta Deep this year. And,
I was going to ask about it.
And that's great, actually. We're actually going to be doing a tour in the States in the little break between the Def Leppard thing. I think it's huge, the fact that you can actually, otherwise you'd be limited. We're only limited in Def Leppard by the fact that we had such successful albums. You can't really do exactly what you want. So and we could never do a reggae song, like Man Rays could do a reggae song.
You say they've done a funky number on a new album.
Absolutely, and I think that was kind of the Delta Deep thing really, inspired that. And we actually did. We opened it up, but I think the fact that I go and do the Delta Deep thing and the Man Race thing, Joe does the down and outs thing, it really helps that kind of.
Obviously.
It stopped us worrying about things. We're like, this is. Let's have fun, and we really did on the new record.
And I must ask you about the Delta Deep. It's Debbie Blackwell Cook.
Yes.
So tell us a bit more about her, who's singing on.
Yes, she's a 62-year-old black woman. She used to sing with Luther Vandross. They used to do sessions together, backup vocal sessions, and she sang for the Pope. Michael Bublé, she's sang on tour, but she's a grandmother of 10, mother of 5, and and she just sings, and you know, she's my wife's godmother, and that's how we first started singing. She sang at our wedding, and we just got into this thing and doing old Motown and funk stuff, and before you knew it, we're in a band together, writing songs together, and they turned out very different to what I imagined. I thought it was going to be a bluesy thing, and the band sounds like Led Zeppelin, so it's interesting.
I'm looking forward to that. Actually, you are doing a gig in London, 21st December at the So Bright Arms.
We are. It's going to be more like acoustic or that, because the whole band's not there. You know, it's the other two are in the States at the moment.
Well, the secret's out now, so it won't be packed.
Absolutely right. There you go. So. I'll probably play electric as well. It'll be just a few days after the Def Leppard tour finishes. So,
of course, you're touring with White Snake, so we look forward to that.
Absolutely.
Phil, it's been great talking to you. The book, Adrenalized, Life, Def Leppard and Beyond.
Absolutely.
Mate, a fantastic Christmas present.
Thank you. Absolutely. It should have been Life, Death and Beyond, really. But there you go. There you go. I saw it printed and I thought, oh! But there you go.
Phil, all the best for the future.
Cheers,
and
thank
Def
you.
Leppard, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you.
Thanks.